Hello, I'm Bernard Norcott-Mahany. I work at the Blueford branch of the Kansas City Public Library. Uh, April is National Poetry Month, and for April of 2025, I am reading each day 3 or 4 poems from River Anthology by Edgar Lee Masters. The premise of River Anthology, a book that was published in 1915, was that we are to imagine ourselves in Spoon River, Illinois, which is a fictional town. We are in the cemetery, which is known as the Hill. We are wandering around, we see a gravestone, we read the name on the gravestone, and then we imagine, or through the magic of literature, the ghosts themselves from the grave speak. So each of the poems is named for the person who's on the gravestone. Nancy Knapp. Well, don't you see this was the way of it? We bought the farm with what he inherited, and his brothers and sisters accused him of poisoning his father's mind against the rest of them. And we never had any peace with our treasure. The murrain took the cattle, and the crops failed, and lightning struck the granary. So we mortgaged the farm to keep going, and he grew silent and was worried all the time. Then some of the neighbors refused to speak to us, and took sides with his brothers and sisters, and I had no place to turn, as one may say to himself, at an earlier time in life. No matter, so-and-so is my friend, or I can shake this off with a little trip to Decatur. Then the dreadfulest smells infested the rooms, so I set fire to the beds, and the old witch house went up in a roar of flame, as I danced in the yard with waving arms, while he wept like a freezing steer. So here, Nancy Knapp, a disgruntled wife stuck on a farm, basically goes mad, burns the farmhouse down while her husband weeps. Barry Holden. The very fall my sister Nancy Knapp set fire to the house, they were trying Dr. Duval for the murder of Zora Clemens, and I sat in the court 2 weeks listening to every witness. It was clear he had got her in a family way, and to let the child be born would not do. Well, how about me with 8 children, and one coming, and the farm mortgaged to Thomas Rhodes? And when I got home that night, after listening to the story of the buggy ride and the finding of Zora in the ditch, the first thing I saw right there by the steps where the boys had hacked for angleworms was the hatchet. And just as I entered, there was my wife, standing before me, big with child. She started to talk of the mortgaged farm, and I killed her. So here, the brother of Nancy Knapp, who went crazy and burned down her farmhouse, her brother Barry Holden kills his wife with a hatchet. State's Attorney Fallas. I, the scourge wielder, balance wrecker, smiter with whips and swords, I, hater of the breakers of the law, I, legalist, inexorable and bitter, driving the jury to hang the madman Barry Holden, was made as one dead by light too bright for eyes, and woke to face a truth with a bloody brow. Steel forceps fumbled by a doctor's hand against my boy's head as he entered life made him an idiot. I turned to books of science to care for him. That's how the world of those whose minds are sick became my work in life and all my world. Poor ruined boy, you were at last the potter, and I, and all my deeds of charity, the vessels of your hand. So here, State's Attorney Fallas is the guy who put Barry Holden away, but he has his own personal sorrow. His son, while being born, suffered brain damage, and he of course must take care of this afflicted kid. So a sad story. Although when he talks about himself, he talks about himself in very epic and heroic terms. So there we had Nancy Knapp, Barry Holden, and State's Attorney Fallas.